Welcome back to Ask the Expert. We have today a cool dude named Andrew Chau. He is the owner of Boba Guys, and he has many, many more stores than our very own Junbi, but he is our competitor and sworn enemy in the drink Boba game. And we said, yo, why don't we have him come over here and we'll find something that maybe we can get along on, such as how our Asian dads disapprove of us severely, and Steve now has an Asian stepdad.
I sure do. He does not like me. He doesn't like me at all.
Yeah. No? So he knows the feels.
Okay, can I ask? You are sitting here. You are their chief rival. Can you please take a sip of that and rate it for us?
Okay, let's do this. What is your order?
I want your genuine. You're an entrepreneur. You're a businessman. You're a rival. But your genuine thoughts on that cup of matcha.
We should have done like a taste testing. And
I know, right?
Guess your own matcha. All right. Well, with the Sun Tzu Art of War, is it like know the enemy? So
yeah, know the enemy.
Please include branding in your review. All of it.
Okay. Let me tell you. The aloe's good. I got an aloe matcha.
Yep.
The matcha is great. It's high quality because it's not too bitter, not too sweet. The green's really good.
You know your matcha. I respect that.
And because a lot of matcha is overly bitter.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And then, not too sweet. Steve is he's like, I'm gonna milk this for.
This is what I live for.
What about the logo? You like the logo?
The logo branding is amazing. I love the idea that there's different colors. It's very vibrant. It's also very kind of like iconic. I noticed certain things like single color, which makes it easier to print on. So it's actually a very good economical choice.
Yep.
Because we do multicolor, and sometimes it's actually costs.
Amateurs, they don't know what they're doing.
I like it. Oh, it says recycle me. Absolutely, totally, like literally. So that's really cute copy. Mm-hmm. Copy is like the words that you write on the thing. And then you even got a registered trademark. You guys spend money on lawyers to get a registered trademark?
We got an actual trademark. Yeah, we did it because we decided to franchise.
This is also perfect hand feel for little Asian hands. See?
Yep.
Little.
Did you see this? Yours doesn't have this, but it says
minority stereotype.
It says fears, doubts, and excuses, and then you stick the straw in it because you want to fuck them.
Say fuck you, bitch.
Yeah.
Fuck you, doubt.
That is genius.
You fuck those fears, doubts, and excuses.
That is how many like
drink fears, doubts, and excuses.
Suck those fears.
Yeah, suck them.
Any criticism? Prepare daringly. What do you think of that? What do you think of the logo?
Okay, yeah, it's called. It says prepare daringly. Yeah, that's what we are.
Is this really just a consulting? My consulting hour is like $250 an hour.
Oh shit!
So this is.
We could kind of afford it.
Shit, $250.
I'm kidding. I don't consult. You guys are friends. Okay, so really, prepare daringly. I like. If there was a small thing, is like, what do you mean by daringly?
I agree.
And how do you?
I don't understand.
And how you have to support that. It's called RTB, reasons to believe. So if you say something, if Boba Guys is next level quality, bridging cultures, I have to prove it. I have to RTB, reason to believe it. Otherwise, it means nothing.
Yeah, it's just a random word.
Yeah.
So how are you guys so daring?
We prepare these drinks daringly.
You put like a
No. I'm gonna get killed by my partners. That's not how. No, that's not how it is.
No, everyone's blindfolded in the back, and they have to figure out a way to make the drinks right.
And you gotta take your eyes, and then you do the whole knife thing, and then
and then even before they plug it in, they hope they pop it.
That actually would be. You should do that. The target thing that you have on top.
Yeah.
And then like daringly is like you have different dares, and then you just randomly pop it, and then based on like what they got, it's like truth or dare matcha.
That would be pretty hilarious.
Follow-up question: how do you compare your branding to Junbi branding, and like why do you stand above Junbi or below, whichever one you want to go with here?
Side by side.
Yeah.
We stand along with Junbi. Actually, I do know they have great matcha. So because I see it all the time, like, man, I want to send him matcha and get some seating, but I mean he's got his own matcha. Or all you guys have your guys.
I mean, we can sell you the matcha, you know what I mean, but
we can do a collab.
We could be like now carrying Junbi matcha at our stores, and we can have Boba Guys Boba and you know
we could do a Oh, that would have been a great April Fool's joke. We could have
What?
like done all these trades and like.
Oh, that would have been
swapped it.
hilarious.
that's cool.
Yeah.
April is like literally a couple weeks away. You can still do it.
Yeah, it's too
Just
early.
announce
It
it.
takes time to make these like things sometimes.
Yeah. But
How do you stand above or a par or whatever?
you really want to put me on the spot? Like
Yeah,
that?
absolutely. Just no, but honestly, give us your mind.
No-
so that,
no
'cause
feelings hurt,
If I'm
man.
watching this, and I want to know how to make my brand stand above or below or whatever, I think this could be an interesting comparison.
It's like, sell me this pen, right? That's the Wolf of Wall Street. So sell me this boba. I think Junbi's boba, pros and cons, it's all about positioning. Al Rees, which is a famous marketing book. So positioning of Junbi. Junbis are accessible. They're kind of more, because of the color, the way it's kind of branded, the font typeface matters a lot.
Yep.
Like, that creates a little bit more, I would say, technically mainstream. Boba guys, given our typeface and the way we're much more minimalistic, in American kind of culture, it looks a little bit more bougie. So, but that's where we did the aardvark on purpose. We used an animal, which is our logo.
And you hit the nail for us. We are trying to hit the mainstream.
Yeah.
Keep it simple.
What's an aardvark? Is that an anteater?
It looks like the anteater, yeah. It's like the thing with the nose. We did it because it was obscure but familiar. It was kind of our symbolic way of, it's like a spirit animal.
I thought you guys were UCI alumni.
People think that, I didn't know that.
I thought it was because you were uncircumcised.
Hey.
Yeah, just want to let everyone know I'm uncircumcised.
It's just a great dick joke. Couldn't let go of it.
You have to look closely at the aardvark. Check out the nose.
It is sticking out.
It is. It has no skin at the nose.
Damn it, so it's circumcised. All right.
I don't think I've ever given an asshole. We're gonna cut this on the promo clip.
That should be a question on every Ask the Expert. We have like a Navy SEAL coming. So are you circumcised?
Are you circumcised or not?
I'm glad you agree there will never be women on the Ask the Expert show.
Hey, yeah, they're not experts at anything. No. I'm just kidding.
For that, there you go.
Yeah. Okay.
It's Women's History Month. I gotta say that if I don't say something like that, I'm gonna get canceled.
There you go. Love it.
But yeah. So I don't know if it's comparing apples to apples because they just appeal to a different group from us. Steve trying to make enemies we are enemies, but we want to keep that quiet.
Well, I find it very interesting because you guys are sitting next to each other. Why not talk about the
I
differences?
know, that's hilarious.
I fucking love it.
That is the major difference, though, between the two.
Yeah, I think our positioning is different.
Yeah.
I mean, we use, obviously, also, like, we're not just matcha. So they specialize in matcha, I would argue, and we don't. And so we do more coffee and matcha. So I think in that way, in different types.
Your matcha's not as good.
I'd like to say, there's this misnomer, there's this idea that jack of all trades, master of none. But back in the old days, you could be a Renaissance person. We tend to be a Renaissance brand. We can do anything good.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Well,
Good answer, Jesus.
What I have to say is that every time you guys come up with new concepts, right? I always wish that we stole these ideas, like the whole like childhood snacks that we grew up with, and then you did the whole like the Asian market stuff, and then you I love that, like the
Wait, what
like
is
the
that?
candy.
Explain to the rest of us.
So like there's like when you go to the Asian grocery store, there's like kids snacks that you grew up with, like the graham
Hot Flakes.
Hot Flakes, whatever, white rabbit candy, whatever, and they turn these into drinks.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
That's
so
really
it's
cool.
like growing up with Reese's Pieces and then turning that into a drink or something like that.
That's really cool, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, you fucker, I want to.
We're not the only ones who do that.
It's like a blizzard.
No, but the way that you guys did it in a set is it wasn't just one by one. I thought that was
It's the
pretty
whole
clever.
packaging of it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get overly serious, but a lot of it is like, if you're one or two shops, you're quick and nimble, so you can kind of like crank out everything. So our ideas to roll across 17, 18 stores is really hard. So I have to think way in advance. Right now, like, our April Fool's one that we did, we actually locked April Fool's a year. I'll just tell you, when does this come out? After April Fool's or?
I'll bet. I'd put money on it.
Yeah. So like it's what did we do this year? Oh, it's I think Boba guys.
Boba guys?
Yeah. So it's gonna be like muscle milk and a shake, and it's like, oh yeah. So that's why
Bart just likes it. Bart's like, oh, I'd buy that. And you're like, no, you're an idiot. It's a joke.
I know.
that's a good April Fool's joke,
That's
right?
on April 2nd too?
Well, we did canna boba that blew up, like cannabis boba. We actually made it for Vice, because they kind of pitched an idea, and because we were in their kind of portfolio thing, and we're like, we can pull it off a canna boba, and it's never been done. And because we control our own supply chain, I was like, we could do it. And people thought we faked it for the camera, but we did it like a double joke. We did it on April Fool's, saying it's April Fool's, but in real life, we actually filmed it already. And then when it came out in 420, which is 19 days later, it actually was real. So it was like, ha, 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 like that. So we tend to do that. So the question is like, I mean, a lot of it's just planning. That's what I'll just say. It's like the bigger you get, you have to, because I wish I want to make a drink today and I could go to market tomorrow. I can't do that.
So for your guys' like initiatives and stuff, how long does it take? Like how much lead time do you guys
Oh my God. I mean, when we did
It's like a year?
the longest one was that 88 Rising thing we did. That was like fucking crazy. That was long.
Like a year of planning?
Less than a year, but it was long. It was like maybe 9 months when we first
Wow.
you have to arrange, deals like that. We did something with, ArcLight Cinemas. We did stuff with, I'll tell you the one that maybe I could start leaking is we have one with, I don't know if I'm allowed. Actually, they don't care, but I don't know if our team will care. But it's likely we're gonna work with Care Bears.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so that was a huge one.
That's tight.
They're down here actually, Cloudco.
Wow.
And
I don't know if I can leak this, but Junbi's going to be doing some stuff with Walt Disney World. So
yeah,
I can't really talk about it very much.
But this,
With all the public parks, you're going to be
That's what-
doing
that's
something
what
at the
I'm
public parks, yeah.
Oh, in the public parks.
I'll do Legoland. I'll cover Legoland.
Oh shit, that's
Well, we're gonna be working with the Department of Water and
water and power.
power and General Electric and
I'll work with Planet Earth and the UN.
Oh shit, he got it.
No, but as you get bigger, it gets more complicated. Because if I do something small, the problem is if it's a certain size. It's this idea of scale, right?
Yeah.
I do 2 local. The 18 to 16 other stores, they don't make sense because it only works for my Long Beach store or my Fillmore store. I then have to do it at scale. If I do it at scale, you work with partners that need to plan because they got to go through license approvals and all these things, right? So like I gotta right now on my drive here, I was literally at the top of mind. I was approving Care Bears because supposedly we moved the cloud wrong, right? So what's cool is we have our aardvark in the universe, which is think about convincing Care Bears. Let's just say how many people understand what Boba is inside. They're great, Cloudco, you're amazing, but you have to convince them and you have to sell it internally, and then you got to get the execution and approval.
Yeah.
So that takes months.
Wait, how did I not make fun of this 5 minutes ago? You're working with Care Bears with Boba?
yeah. Crazy, right?
What's that? How
Care
is that?
Bear stare!
Who even comes up with that? How do you even sit there and go, oh man, if only we had Care Bears, we could really
The
scale.
collaborations they do, it didn't really make me go weird because they do a lot of weird stuff like
I
that.
guess I just haven't seen your business because I only know Junbi shit. But that is so fascinating that so it's your aardvark character cartoon wise. I guess I'm just as informed as the audience maybe. But like they are gonna be doing something with Care Bears?
Yeah. So they're owned by a company called License. The licensor, I guess, is called Cloudco. But it's not even about money because generally how it works in these deals, and this is so ask the expert. So the question that I'm assuming somebody's going to ask is how do you make these collaboration deals? So a lot of times you have to think about it's all about incremental value, right? So it has to grow the pie, as I said earlier in the first episode. So if you grow the pie, meaning if I did a Care Bears drink and I gave them like a percentage cut of their license of a drink that I normally would have already sold, like it didn't ever grow me. They're just using me for advertising. In that case, you got to pay to be on my cup. I've done that. We have a lookbook. We come from fashion, right? So we had a lookbook where we have models. I'd love to ask you guys to be on our next lookbook, by the way. You flip through the lookbook. We have quote unquote ad placements in them, like different. Like Oatly and all these things, or Hilton's in it. And we tell people where to go if you're traveling in California and stay at Hilton. So that's kind of like where it works. So it's additive. But the problem is like, where do people get money? What do they want? What do we want? What we need from Care Bears is, for me, this is less about Boba Guys. This is about culture. I mean, we have a book. We didn't name our book the Boba Guys book. It was the Boba book. We know our role is now in America, probably if not the world, our books in different languages, is we have to grow the pie for everyone.
Yeah.
That's how we, and that's why generally where most people understand now, that's what we do. First 5 years, people hated us. Some people, certain people hated us because they thought we were sellouts. I'm like, no. If you ever look closely at our platform, I'm Trojan horsing culture. Like, how more people know about ube and these Korean banana milk and the history of that and slanted coffee jelly that we did because of us, because we have 4 million people. Starbucks and Phil's Coffee, I love them. They're not doing anything like that. No, not even Panda does into that. They're not going to history of General Tso's chicken and sweet and sour and beef and broccoli. We're probably the only, in our world, the Asian concept that actually has the ability to do that. So, and Kung Fu, I love them too, Kung Fu Tea, but they're not doing that. They're doing more memes. So, shouts to Kung Fu Tea, they're great. The problem then is like, how do you know how to like it's a very delicate kind of balance of like storytelling.
So you grab a market that doesn't know what boba is, and you're like, hey, we can like infuse culture into it. So it's kind of like giving people culture without they even know it.
Yeah, Care Bear specific. My co-founder might get mad, but it doesn't matter. I'm the CEO.
Hell fucking yeah, bro.
I love that.
Well, he's the one executing the license deal right now. Is that ultimately when they came to us, we have people approach us all the time to do collabs, and so because we have retail, that's the one thing too. People don't realize the power of retail because a lot of these places are digital. To do something physical is actually rare at scale. After us, they're going to go to McDonald's, but McDonald's is too big. Not everybody's going to get a McDonald's deal or a Starbucks deal. So we're like right at the right size where if they wanted to cover all of California, they can work with us and kind of get something out real quick. So like, that's why studios, we work with A24 who did a lot of great films. So that's kind of more the artsy crowd. I think with like Care Bears, I literally, because we grew up with it.
Yeah, I mean,
I was like,
Care Bears stamp.
It's insane.
So when we were negotiating, that deal was, just a little bit of what merch would we work together. And I said, I don't actually care what merch we make.
Nice.
Thanks. I had to catch up.
I caught it.
I really just care if you put our culture into your culture. And so most of my I'm the negotiator. I basically said, it is where I would say our fight bulldog. I was texting you guys about being a sheepdog, right? Like, I was like, only thing I really want is you incorporate aardvark and boba. So can you drink? I want the Care Bears to drink boba. Never been done. So their whole. I wish I could show you because it's on my phone right now. That was the license. That's the art approval I just had to get approved on the drive.
That is next
Do you think some
level.
old Asian man's gonna see that and he's gonna cry? He's gonna be like, I never thought I'd live to see the day that Mr. Hugglebear is drinking boba tea.
Drinking boba. But that's all I wanted because I want somebody
That
to
is
think
next
that it's
level.
normal.
Bro. That is
That's
next.
awesome. That's seriously awesome.
Only thing I wanted.
Yeah.
You can ask. I mean, Cloudco, who's watching, their license team are going to be like, "That's literally what Andrew demanded. It was the only thing." And then,
But that's all you really
That
need.
shit works.
So,
I
yeah.
ate so many fucking moon pies. I didn't even know what the fuck it was, but the Ninja Turtles were selling them to me.
is that really what moon pies were? Ninja Turtle?
Ninja Turtles were like, they had a moon pie, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck this is, but I
They
need
had
it.
me in Pizza Hut.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, Steve's got the Pizza Hut shirt.
Yeah.
It's real.
That's crazy. Well, okay, we have a few questions from our fans because they wanted specific. We asked, and I think they actually did some research on you.
Oh, shoot.
Because these questions are very specific to you. So Lauren Reyes, she goes, "What have you learned from being an entrepreneur that you didn't from working for another company?" So there's a couple of questions she asked, but that's a good first. Yeah,
That's a really good one.
And then she goes, "What would your advice for young people thinking about being an entrepreneur straight out of college? And also, would you recommend getting a job working for a big company first?" So the first one is, what have you learned from being an entrepreneur that you didn't from working for another company?
My memory's not that good, so you're gonna have to repeat.
Okay, sure.
Entrepreneur. I would say being an entrepreneur, what you learn is how to be flexible and constantly solve problems. Because when you're in a corporate setting, like you're in a lot more structured environment. I worked at Walmart, Clorox, Target, Leapfrog. And Timbuktu. Those are my companies I worked for about 12 years in corporate. And you usually come into a system. Like I'm a basketball fan. So like my favorite coach and leader is Coach Popovich from Spurs. You come into a system, you know what he's gonna give you. Grit, work your ass off, low ego. You don't have any of that. You're out or
He
in.
talks shit too.
Yeah. You can't. Does his team talk shit?
Popovich? No, he talks shit.
No,
He's pretty respectful, I would say. He's a fiery.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think so. But there's a system. So when I was at Clorox, very strict system. So you have less freedom, but you also have less things to worry about. I can go home and I know roughly what I'm gonna deal with. At Boba Guys, when you're an entrepreneur, retail entrepreneurs like us, man, somebody took a shit in front of a door, and then my team doesn't want to pick it up, so I had to put on gloves and scoop the shit, human, out. It's in San Francisco, out of, and then put it in, and then
It's everything.
You're
a fucking 8-figure dude picking up dookie with your bare hands.
Oh yeah, but I think
Paper 8-figure dude.
You don't go, there's no system for this.
who would I delegate this to? Yeah, I need a workflow for this picking up shit in front of our stores.
That's true. I noticed that when you're in corporate, this is not my department, not my job. Like when you run in a restaurant, man, it's like, yo, the toilet's flooded. Fuck, everyone's
God.
busy. I'll do it.
How many times? Yeah, plunging. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
People are disgusting.
You are
It's
cleaning
crazy.
bathrooms. I'm not gonna say the best thing of COVID. COVID sucks. Hundreds of thousands of people died, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The one thing about businesses that I think almost every business will say, if you're watching, you probably it'll show up in comments, is not having to clean other people's shit because they can't come inside your stores anymore. That actually is like silver lining. That's the one thing. Because I was like, how come closing stores is so much easier? And I'm realizing I don't gotta clean other people's bathrooms anymore, my own bathroom anymore.
Yeah.
It didn't even occur to me like 6 months in. I was like,
Yeah.
why is it so much easier to close the store now?
Wow.
So being an entrepreneur is learning how to be flexible, work on the fly, all that.
Having a lot of mental, it's mostly a mental game. That's
Yeah.
why, I mean, you
You gotta be tough.
You do.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
when I do these panels and people ask me about like starting businesses and stuff, and what would my thing be? It's how to deal with your own emotions, because it's like you said, it's a mental game, and then how do you deal with your own brain, and then the bottleneck of the business is you and how you think.
You can't also, I mean, it's leadership, because you're usually, if you're the founder or CEO,
Yeah.
or founder usually, and then as you grow to CEO, usually, like, you're just as frustrated with things too. But if in leadership, like, the attitude reflects leadership, right? So if you're super cynical and everything's like, oh, fuck this, da da da, even if you feel that, your team will pick that up.
Oh, you don't want to
Yeah.
complain to your team at all. You gotta. No, everything's great. Everything's perfect, guys.
You're not gonna be working with Care Bears talking like that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I go into those meetings hot sometimes. I'm doing it because a landlord kind of like fired me up, or we have a personnel issue, but I can't talk about it. And then I go into a meeting like a Care Bears, or I'm talking to a different landlord, I'm talking to you guys.
Yeah.
And you're almost like a switch. So there's this idea that you're almost like, I'm gonna say role playing. Everyone's like, oh, Andrew, like you always talk about in my IG, like, oh, it's emotions. It's almost like you're an actor. I'm like, my handle's like a chameleon. I'm like, because I feel, even as a CEO, you have to regulate your emotions all the time. As frustrated as I could be, here's why knowing you guys, I can talk about business, which is like my core expertise, but I actually am talking in a way that feels super free, which I almost never get, right? Because right now I can talk about you guys and shit on certain ideas or whatever. Like, I don't ever get to do that in my own company. And if in my hat
come?
outside, well, in my own company, they're going to be like, oh, Andrew's too critical. I have a therapist and executive coach now, and like, I got feedback that Andrew's intimidating. And I'm like, for a CEO, I'm not intimidating. I think I'm pretty casual. But then I could see why.
They should meet me.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, please?
Oh my god.
We should do a CEO swap.
I know, right? I feel like
yeah.
you're gonna wish you had him back, bitch.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, Uncle Joe's gonna come.
We gotta be like the Asian mom that's lecturing the fuck out of their kids and like about to beat their ass, and a phone call comes and they go, hello.
Exactly. I know.
That's what we gotta do.
Does Boba guys have Onimancho?
We did have onigiri.
Yeah.
But
Pandemic. Yeah. But no, you guys have good food.
they still have it even during the pandemic. Just gotta say.
You guys have better operation.
Had to add that.
So what would be your advice for young people thinking about becoming an entrepreneur straight out of college?
Ooh, that's tough. I generally, unless you have a really good idea, right? What makes an idea successful or whatever? A lot of it is team, life experience, luck, the makeup of the market, like market viability, the right timing. So all these things have to line up. I think when you come right out of college, unless you really feel like those all hit, I generally think even if you have the right idea, I don't know if you'll be able to lead it. And half of entrepreneurship out of the gates is a really good kind of leadership foundation. Because Or real quick, you'll find out you have a great idea, but nobody wants to work for you. And then you can't scale. Then you're going to constantly be replacing your team. I rarely meet 21, 22-year-olds that are good at leadership. I happen to be, I mean, you can tell, like, I'm a type A. So like ever since I was like middle school, I was in student government. And, you know, when I was at Berkeley, like, I was always like, you know, undergrad. I went undergrad and grad at Berkeley. Like, I was that kid. So leadership had never been really the issue.
And getting your ass kicked was never a problem. You already knew all.
No. Green belt, Shaolin Kempo. I don't want those stereotypes to be like nerds, like, you know, Renaissance. You can do everything. Says the white guy.
Hey, I'm just here to fucking poke
I'm
holes.
a Cobra Kai this. No, seriously. I mean, but you know, that's a true story. That is actually a huge one. Like when I was, you know, in school, because I had the Jersey mentality, Steve. Like I don't want to go super like ethnic in the content, like, and you know, your audience is super broad. But any immigrant kid probably could feel this. It's like you're always part of this third culture, two different worlds. One thing that I really wanted to prove was I never saw Asian leaders. I never saw it.
Is it because of where you were at?
In New Jersey and even in the Bay Area.
Really?
Unless you're a tech founder CEO. Right now, I'm in YPO, Young Presidents Organization. It's all the CEOs across America, right?
Yeah.
Or in the world. It's 35,000. Asian consumer CEOs, I rarely meet them. All these conferences, like, are never, you know, maybe in Asia there's Asian CEOs.
Yeah.
In America, never saw it. Because, you know, least likely demographic to get promoted is Asians, right? And so for me, I mean, I kid around because, I mean, I grew up in Jersey, so I love, like, I don't even get to, by the way, like, do a lot of trolling and insults because I'm not supposed to, because I can offend people. But you guys know what that's like.
Yeah, like the locker room talk that you wish that you're like familiar with, that you wish you could like, you could do it more. Yeah, if you could do it more online, but you can't. You
I mean, you're in the most softest place, the Bay Area.
Oh my God, it's so fun.
So like, it's completely different from New York and Jersey, and you know, I mean, they think LA folks are just soft. So
I know New York, San Francisco.
So.
That's why a lot of these. Yeah, it's like I can't even talk about it because somebody's gonna take something out of context. Somebody will. They'll take my hesitation.
Poor dude, oh my God, bro.
But, so going back,
I get it though. What you're saying about your own company, you can't say necessarily what you think.
You can't. I mean, that's a whole separate topic.
Well, I mean, you say it also because of you care about them and you don't genuinely want to hurt your own team members. I get it too. Like, I'm not saying when I say this too, it's like, it's not because like I'm scared or anything like that. I really do care about everybody in our fan base, and I have to change the way the times are because I don't want to hurt the people that love us, you know?
Hey, you don't want to put them in your crosshairs, right?
Yeah.
Like, I've had people, because of whatever reason they hated Boba guys, forget they target me. I can handle that because I am a little bit like, I'm confident. They target my team. They're like, why do you work for someone like that?
Yeah.
Why do you work? That's when I'm like, you guys are fucked up. That's toxic right there.
You gotta protect your family is what I say. Like, I don't mind it. Like, I could take as many fuck yous as whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like, I know within my team, people don't sign up for those kind of, you know, comments. Yeah.
And they're sweet, amazing people, but nobody goes into a job, which maybe in college or whatever, and unless you're the owner, no one's that vested. As much as they like you.
Would you recommend getting a job working for a big company first?
Ooh,
that's what you did, right?
I did. I would say what a big company teaches, I don't know if there's a right order. What a big company teaches you is you learn how to listen a little better. I don't know if you felt this way when you were in like military. Like, did that give you discipline? Because it's an institution, right? You got to follow certain rules. Do you feel like that made you better?
I think it was kind of like a double-edged sword, where like, I think when you're in the military and you see how the way things operate, and yes, it's tougher, right? But because of how tough it is and how a lot of like the more like luxuries you kind of just put to the side, but like things that you need to accomplish happen much faster. You go in the civilian world, and then now you're like, fuck, everyone's a fucking pussy. And then you're like, son of a bitch. But then now, and then also, like, so leadership is also different too, right? So it's like, it's, in the military, like, because, and I think it's due to every branch has a boot camp. So you have a very fast forward, like fucking fire hydrant in your mouth way of learning how things need to be before you join, right? And then now it's like, okay, cool, I get with the system. No other company in the world has a boot camp.
Yeah.
So you're slowly learning and picking things up, right? And I think and that's why I think a lot of veterans like working with veterans, because like they look at each other and they already understand. We have an understanding of how things should be. If I have a fever but something needs to get done, I'm not gonna go, hey, I'm fucking entitled, where's my health insurance? It's like, no, let's fucking get the job done and we'll do whatever it takes, right? So I think there's that part, but the other part I think that's cool is if you just have a bunch of like you say type A people, the whole world is in type A, and then so you lack a whole set of communication skills that I think you learn about talking to people, understanding empathy, and then also like motivating in a non-toxic way. Because that military also can breed a very toxic form of motivation where people could be depressed and burnt out and they don't even know. They just think, I'm such a fucking high achiever. Everyone's such a fucking pussy. And then fucking like 10 years later, they're like, oh, what the fuck's going on with me? You know, because they're just so buried inside.
It's a short-term result system that works, but we don't know the long-term.
Great for survival, but in real world, it's dangerous.
So I think like having that balance is good, and I think like finding, I think having been able to taste both though, like really helps me understand how people work, for me at least.
No, I would just say 100%. I just think same thing.
So I actually agree with you with like, I think people should go into a corporate environment and you learn at least how things have been done and perfected and honed, at least in another way, so that if you want to break the rules, you know what rules to break, versus just going like, I'm gonna do something fresh and brand new, but you're like, but you don't even know the history of how things been done.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to overgeneralize whether it's people I know or teams and everything. It's just that like, there's a certain type of decorum and etiquette, which people are like, oh, that sounds so corporate. I'm like, no, like honestly, sometimes I feel like when you don't have any part of institutional experience and you're always like everything is at your beck and call and there's no rules anywhere, you actually ask questions that kind of interrupt flow. So it's not about like somebody trying to oppress. Right now everybody's anti-authority, right? And I'm like, it's not like everybody's an oppressor. Every CEO, every owner is out to exploit. Everything in the military.
That sounds crazy.
I know, but the people who paint that are generally people who have no experience outside anywhere else. I get this, whether it's our own team member base and all that kind of stuff. They generally, I can tell when somebody kind of like pipes up and my managers start telling me how to talk.
When I was an anarchist, I was a pot-smoking high school kid with no job experience that thought that everything was power hungry and greed.
Is that really like?
Yeah, I was a hardcore communist. I studied Marx, and I was just thinking that my favorite band was Rage Against the Machine, and I was just. So I get these kids, you see the world is full of hypocrisy and fucked up.
Yep.
And you have access, the closest access you have to a rich person, you want to take it out on them.
Yep.
And it's like maybe you're their ideal character of what a rich person is, so they attack you, not knowing, other guys or whoever.
Not knowing you're picking up human shit with your hands.
Yeah.
Outside of your store.
But they can't even afford to humanize you. Right now, everyone's.
No. But then what? They're like, I don't know, 16, 19, I remember being that age and angry and not knowing where to take out my shit on. So I have a lot of heart for them, even though I make fun of them a lot. But I've been through that phase, for sure. Yeah, but then later you realize, oh shit, there's a reason for hierarchy. Mm-hmm. There's a reason for order. There's in this, and you're kind of like, well, duh, this makes a lot of sense. When you see it from a top-bottom view, like not top as in you're better, but like, everyone kind of went through the race at different stages, and some people won first place. It just happens because you ran the fastest or whatever. So after you get there, you're like, oh, duh. But then when you're down here, you never even started the race. It's easy to be a person that's criticizing it or whatever.
It's actually a pretty cool blend. So on another Ask the Expert, my friend Don, who's like a former special ops guy, so he's like a leader in the Marine Corps.
He wasn't Delta.
But I joined one of his classes because he has like this whole pool fitness business that he's starting. And it was really cool because it's him and a bunch of other special ops guys. So they're like probably the toughest people you'll ever meet. And what they do is you have like a briefing, you go through the whole workout, and all of the workout is underwater. So it's really scary. Like you're gonna be holding your breath for 30 seconds, a minute at a time. You come up, you do burpees, you jump underneath. There's like a lot of really tough stuff because a lot of times you feel like you're gonna drown. after they're done with being like I'm an alpha motherfucker, this is some hardcore shit, they do this thing called Circle of Trust, where everyone stands in a circle and we hold hands, and it feels like you're almost on like a hippie camp. And then now you talk about the most vulnerable things that happen so that you can talk about it, so as team members you can watch out when other people are in trouble now.
Awesome.
It's like the most healthiest thing I've ever seen.
Like this is how you slit someone's throat underwater, and then you hold hands and go, I was really scared when I was holding my breath.
Yeah, they're like talking about the vulnerable things. I'm like, how much of a pussy can I be right now? Because I didn't know if it was like your definition of a pussy or my definition of pussy, because my definition of pussy is way pussier than yours.
Yeah, but isn't it funny that we all, as men, we try to bury all that shit,
Yeah.
but then we're the same people who are like, hey man, if I got a problem with you, I'm gonna tell you. But then if it's like, if I have a problem with myself, I'm not gonna say anything.
Yeah.
Like, how manly is that?
But it was so cool because then now we hear each other and you go, oh wow, during that time I thought I was gonna drown. He thought he was gonna drown too, and now you have this emotional support. So when we're back underwater for the mission or whatever, you look at each other and you have an understanding. I got your back, you got my back, and it was like very, very supportive. It was cool.
Especially in an environment where nobody wants to say that they're afraid.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, okay, here's another. Oh, do you had something to add?
No.
I got one question for you real quick. So you have scaled a business big time. You started with a pop-up shop.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say how hard is it to control your brand when you're scaling like that?
Oh, fucking hell. That's hard. That's actually
a great question.
Scaling is, there's books and books on scaling. Scaling is, I think, the hardest thing. Scaling, not just operations, scaling people and leadership is, I think, the hardest. Scaling culture, right? Because, I mean, you guys, we all really, I watched JK, blow up, when it was just you guys making films, and then you have teams and you have different channels, right? Like,
Yeah, we ran into that, not understanding what it's like to scale. Yeah.
And there's no school for scaling. It's like, even if I don't want to like sound like, oh, I went to business school, but like even in business school, there's no way to teach this.
Right.
Because it's almost like half learned. You're like building a plane while you're flying, right? So I think that's a whole other thing that I love talking about, but it's like a huge beast, which like, how do you scale right?
In your company, do you guys have like a chief branding officer?
Right now it's technically under me.
So in your company, the CEO is in charge of holding onto the brand and...
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. So, but one day, I think we're like 350 now again. So prior to pandemic, we're like 380. So we're about to catch back up.
What does that mean?
350 people, sorry.
350 people?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, it's a lot.
This is actually a good segue to one of the questions that our fans
That's a
gave us.
big fucking company.
JK asked, do you prefer to create a business on your own or have partners?
I actually think it's great. It is like marriage. If you can find the right one, which is hard, if you can find that right person though,
Yeah.
I think, it's better to have some people. It's already lonely enough being an entrepreneur.
What do you hate about your co-founder?
That's actually good because that's the follow-up question.
What's his biggest weakness?
So the follow-up question is, how do you trust someone or know they are the right person if you do have partners?
I think it's like
cool.
marriage.
And are there qualities that you look for? Or
Like, do they suck dick amazingly well?
Really good. No teeth.
I think. I mean, I want to joke on this, but because if he's watching, I want to be serious. I want to be serious.
Yeah. Yeah, you love them.
It's like. Well, I would say like it's hard enough to find one soulmate, like your wife or spouse. Mm-hmm. When you're your co-founder, how do you find two soulmates in life? Because your co-founder.
Yeah.
And partner, you guys, right? Like,
Yeah.
businesses together. You guys have been around for almost more than longer than us. We've been around for a decade. How long? You guys also.
This is our 14th year.
There you go, right?
It's crazy.
I respect that because people grow different. It's like marriage, though. I think the number one is how do you know when you want to be married, and it very similarly is how do you know it's someone you want to do business with.
That's true.
And so he's the opposite of me. I'm like a little more extroverted, like charismatic, like out there and alpha.
Yeah.
He is like a Zen monk, and they call me hype priest because I kind of like get preachy and TED talky. He's like hype monk. Like, what true story? It's not insulting to him at all. He's such a kind of hermit sometimes. It's like I'm more like Phil from Wong Fu, and then like Wes and Ben are good friends. And like if you guys know the Wong Fu group, is like he disappeared during Christmas like 2-3 years ago. We were like, what are you doing for holiday break? And I was like, I don't know. So, well, he did know, but he didn't really tell us. people ask me, of course, hey, where did Ben? His name is Ben. Where did he go for Christmas break? You know, he's not coming back until January. I was like, I don't really know. I think he's going home to Texas. He's from Texas. And then I found out later that I think he's in Asia. So I'm like, he checked in at an airport. I saw him tag an airport. Like, he's in Changi Airport, Singapore or something. I was like, oh, okay, well, all right, whatever. I found out when he gets back later, he did a retreat on a monk reservation building like houses or villages with monks in Chiang Rai.
I totally want to do.
Yeah, you and him would, he's the one who, the mushroom, the foraging, that was him.
Oh, shit.
So he's like, he got into mushroom and foraging. He carries a forage knife when he got his mushrooms.
Yeah.
I think we found Joe's real best friend.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean, it's him. But then you got someone like me who's like bombastic, louder.
Yeah. But
we fit well. I mean, because obviously, when the cameras are off or whatever, I tone it down. You have to tone it down.
Yeah.
And he knows when I'm gone sometimes. Like right now, he's at headquarters. He's the one who's gonna be, hey Ben, Andrew's gone. Like, you know, do we the care bears and all these approvals we were talking about today. I mean, he's the one who's like, Andrew looks good. You know, that's how I knew the cloud was different, because he goes, they had me redo the art. So I was like, okay, cool. So I think things like that you have to trust. So it is like marriage. So now the real question is,
Was
how
it
do
like
you
you trusted him before, so you knew you can go into business, or did the trust build
Yeah, were
with
you
the
guys
business?
friends first, or
Definitely friends first. You got to date them. You got to like know it fits. The you have to,
Yeah.
because
So it's just like marriage.
I think it's the closest thing. It's usually my go-to answer.
And not fucking.
It's just blue ball, just a bunch of blue balls.
so it's marriage?
Yeah, it's marriage. Yeah.
So
Dang. Well, I mean, like, how long did you guys hang out, or was it with the intent of being business partners?
No.
Because most of the people I'm partnered up with, we've been friends first for many years.
Same.
Yeah.
He was the we're talking off camera, right? Like he was at Timbuktu where he and I were there in the outdoor. It was a kind of an outdoors company, and there were very few Asians. So true story, which I don't hate. I hate playing up the stereotype of Asians. You can tell I like breaking the stereotypes. Is that like we played ping pong? They had a ping pong table. Nobody used it. We played ping pong. And so it's like fuck, yeah,
Damn it!
yeah.
We were playing tackle football outside.
You're like, I used to be in ASB and I was playing ping pong.
And you're like, fuck these stereotypes! And I was doing karate and shit.
It's okay, I opened a Boba shop. Ah, god damn it! Son of a.
I love it, dude.
I know. But that's probably why I'm trying to make up for like breaking out of it.
Yeah.
But so we bonded because nobody in the office. There's like this empty ping pong table. We started roughly at the same time, and then I remember him coming over. He started like 2 weeks ahead of me, and nobody used this ping pong table at the corner of the. It's like an open warehouse office at Timbuktu in San Francisco. And he goes, you want to play ping pong? I said, do you play ping pong? I was like, of course, I'm Asian. And then, do you want to play? And I was like, sure. And so we were like known. Well, we both didn't know, which I found out later. Our friend Lizzie said, you know, you and Ben are hilarious because you're like the first time anybody's ever used that ping pong table. Oh. And I was like.
And it's the only two Asian guys.
You hate those stereotypes, man. You fucking smack them out of existence.
And you just reinforce them back up. And then but you know what? This is another true story. Like, I mean, you can't make this up. I knew the stereotype because I hate fucking model minority myth, which everybody's talking about now. I'm like, dude, I fucking hate it. That's why I went to Timbuktu. That's why I did marketing. Undergrad, I was like, I did sociology. Like, what Asian dude does undergrad in our generation?
Yeah.
Like, love sociology, psychology, Durkheim, the stuff that we talked about.
Yeah.
You know, Marx, cultural Marxism, Leninism. So, like, I think in that way, I felt like I always wanted to go against the grain. True story. When we moved offices, that ping pong table got put away. Our COO at the time, this guy Tony, he is like, oh, we're gonna put the ping pong table or foosball table. And I remember I was like, I don't play foosball that well. I want the foosball table there. And I was like a general manager there. So I was like kind of like, he'd listen. So we moved this upstairs, and then so we're pretty good at foosball because we'd call ourselves Team Asia or Team Taiwan, and we'd play because it's white. So this guy Johnny from North Face, like he was like this like white dude that he was really good. Fraternity probably played foosball. We didn't play, so we got really good. And I remember, and people were like, Andrew, you're really good at foosball. I'm like, it's because I did not want to play ping pong. because we
So
had a
you
chance
got
to-
good on purpose.
Yeah.
That's how much you fought against the.
Tell it to your
Rage Against the Machine.
Tell it to your therapist, bro.
So yeah, there's a lot to unpack there.
That's interesting. Damn. Okay, well, Anthony Tam says, thoughts on what makes an authentic boba rather than cheap powdered knockoff?
There's no authenticity. I have a very, I don't know. I don't think authenticity really exists in America. Because
And I also don't think authenticity is what people really strive for. Because I'm Taiwanese too. So I've been drinking boba since I was like 4 years old in Taiwan, when you used to eat it with a spoon and the milk tea was warm.
Yeah.
And if you had authentic boba, it tastes like shit compared to what they have today. Like the boba today is so modernized, it's so fucking good with technology and texture. It's like if you're, I don't think people know what they're searching for when they're saying authenticity.
That's me trying German beer. I had a bunch of people, because I'm a tuber, and I was over there, and they're like, "Oh, Steve, you gotta try this. This is the best shit." So I try it, and it's like whatever. Because out here we had to like change like the old recipes. They don't want to change it because it's like in stone. It's like that's the tradition.
Yeah.
But then out here they do all kinds of craft beers, artisanal shit, all that stuff, and there's different flavors. And like I've had a way better experience with beer out
Yeah,
here.
it's been improved on a million
Yeah.
times.
What's funny is like a lot of Japanese things in
Yeah.
America, it's the opposite, where the authenticity or the old ways has been preserved in America.
Oh.
And then so Japanese people come here and go, wow, this is so old. Even like my grandparents don't even make it this way anymore. So it's like flipped, where it's more authentic in America than it is back in Japan for a lot of other things. Like this mochi shop in Little Tokyo is like 116 years old. They still make it the old way, but in Japan it's all machine and it's all automated. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that question is a good question. You get this all the time, right? Like, oh, is this real matcha or is this real boba? And especially in the food business, all your other businesses, is that authentic? I think the problem, it's more indicative of the people who generally ask that, if I had to be honest, don't fully, I would say they're like not fully globalized yet.
Yeah.
If you're fully globalized, you see the best pizza in the world in Japan. Not in Italy, it's in Japan. You know, like
Which restaurant?
They won that award from the
Neapolitan people?
Yeah, that or what's the one? It was on Ugly Delicious. Samurai.
One of my favorite videos was what BuzzFeed did with they had like Asian like college kids trying Panda Express, and they had like older like Asian people like first generation trying it, and they all the college kids like, this is not even oh my god, this is disgusting, and then and then all the older folks are just like, oh yeah, this is great.
Exactly.
Because like the authentic thing is, to me, it's for snobs. I mean, you can argue obviously there's authentic stuff, but like our friend Casey's kind of a snob about like if it's not authentic. Like I heard him the other day. This cat's like. He's like, I don't like Italian food in America. It's too, Americanized. And I'm like, who the fuck are you?
All right, Gordon Ramsay.
Think about all the Italian families that moved over here, just fucking did all the recipes and shit, and then but Casey just takes the entire restaurant business for Italy and dumps it in the trash as if it's in America. Like it's just a snobby mentality. I love him, by the way. It's not. He's like
No, but it is the same. It's like a purist.
yeah, purist shit.
What is pure? Everything is an adaptation of something else, and food and culture constantly evolves and changes. Like American Italian food was because they didn't have the ingredients, and it was a different region, such as like Hawaiian food or like Hawaiian local food, right? Like it's a mixture of Japanese, Filipino, Chinese, just all, it's a mix, and I feel like that's what America is really like.
I would rather spend this energy talking about, people are like, oh, then is that appropriative or is that appreciative? And I'm like, that's a weird dynamic. Appreciation versus appropriation. Who's the gatekeeper there? What I prefer is like attribution, which is like 3 A's, like not appreciation, not appropriation. It's attribution, meaning if I think of like Rap Genius or Genius.com, where there's lyrics and you read the lyrics and you're like, oh, that's pulled from Biggie. That's from Pac. That's from J. Cole, pulled that from original Jay-Z. I think when you see that and you could see where it's attributed, I think you need to know matchas from Japan and that it's very sacred, or certain things are Taiwan is from.
And we get it from a farm that's almost 1,000 years old, and
Really?
they provided to the shogun and the emperor. So like it's a quote unquote as authentic as it can get.
There you go.
But then people that don't know, they'll see that it's mixed with a new age, and then they go, that's not authentic.
Yeah, they're gonna exactly.
Yeah, but the actual tea is from a very authentic
It's so
place.
authentic that all the lady workers, when the guy walks by, they look at the ground.
It's so authentic that the ladies remember that the samurais used to roam there. No, I'm just kidding. The ghost of them.
I'm like, how authentic you guys want this to be?
It's a funny debate, right? Because like I remember talking about this at a university, and I asked the kids this. I was like, who is more authentic? So there's this guy named Ivan Ramen.
Oh yeah, Ivan Orkin. Yeah.
Right. He's amazing.
Yeah.
He's a Jewish guy from New York, but he went to Japan, lived there, and he created a ramen restaurant in Japan.
Speaks Japanese.
Speaks Japanese.
Yep.
He owned and operated and won awards in Japan. He's world famous in Japan,
Yep.
right? So let's say he opened up a ramen shop
Next door
here.
to Boba guys.
Really? Oh, New York?
Yeah.
That's
why I know Ivan. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so
Shouts to Ivan.
You know him personally?
Well, yeah. 25 Clinton, 23 Clinton.
Yeah, so he opens up a ramen
great.
store, right? And me, I'm Japanese, don't know shit about ramen. I love to eat it, but I can open up a ramen store right next to him. And what might suck is people will say mine's more authentic because I'm a Japanese man. And to me, I'm like, is that really fair for someone who's put his heart and life into studying and creating? And some might say that he fucked it up because he made his own style.
And Joe's microwaving ramen.
This is real. This Marushan Nissan is real.
This is authentic fucking top ramen, bitch.
And they're like, oh yeah, this one for sure. Yeah.
My microwave Japanese.
Yeah, it's so fucking funny. Yeah.
I don't know, right? I really
I know.
don't know. There's a spot down in Hacienda Heights, and I think it's called Sushi Show, right? All the chefs are Mexican, the sushi chefs. And a lot of people might say, hey, it's not authentic because it's not a Japanese sushi chef, right? But the owner is a Japanese dude, and he's one of the biggest fish traders in Southern California. So he gets a shit ton of the supplies. All the supplies are from these guys, the Japanese guys. But he likes Mexican guys because he says a lot of the Japanese sushi chefs were hella, they're a little arrogant. And they were stuck in their ways, and then he had different things he wanted to evolve to the restaurant, and they wouldn't budge. So he says, fuck you guys, and then he got the guy that was maybe working in the kitchen, and he goes, hey, come here. And then he just taught him, and he liked them because he's like, these guys they're ready to be flexible, they want to learn, and they're different from these hard-headed Japanese chefs.
And probably some of those workers might spin off, make something, and infuse,
Like a Mexican sushi thing or whatever.
And would we be mad for that?
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I'd be like, it depends. If they're like appropriating it, like if they're like so like, oh, I created a brand new thing, it's the best thing ever. But he's like, no. If the owner of that new place is like, I worked for this sushi place. The owner was Japanese, really took care of me, and I love hamachi or like whatever their favorite yellowtail. But this fish is from Mexico, or this is I made a version of a al pastor roll or whatever. I think there's something there. I think that's why I think going on is it's the culture of the policing and the
I would say just don't write it off. I mean, there are examples of these people that fuck it up completely.
Well,
like they're not doing their due diligence. The
mahjong ladies,
right?
For sure.
They kind of
that's different.
What's the word? They fetishize, right? The cultures, and then I'm not saying that doesn't exist. I would say that not everybody is doing that. There are. That's why it's hard. You can't just look at a picture and judge it. You got to hear the stories. You got to see what's going on. But at the end of the day, man, it's just a really fucked up time.
I agree.
Yeah. Anyways, that's all we have for today. Great conversation.
It's a great time to do business, though.
Right?
Let's start this Japanese pizza.
Let's all become authentic,
Dude, I want you to microwave ramen next to somebody. I really do.
And call it Authentic Joe's Japanese
I want
ramen.
you dumping top ramen into boiling water. That's all I want.
Open up in Little Tokyo
And then get a bunch of BuzzFeeders to come through and review it.
Authentic Japanese man.
Oh, it'd be so good.